the history and fate of local music festivals, low-stakes Seattle rants, and our weekend recommendations. But before we get into today's episode, I wanted to give you all a preview of something we're going to be talking about more next week. So on Monday, we're launching a membership program called CityCast Seattle Neighbors. So we decided to call members of this program neighbors because we truly believe that neighbors are what make Seattle great. We want to be here for years to come, and support from listeners like you is the best way to make sure that that happens. We'll tell you more next week about all the cool benefits that come with joining, but if you're like, yes, I definitely want to be a part of this, and there are several of you who already have done that, so thank you. We'll be shouting you out on the pod next week. You can join right now as a founding member. Just go to membership.citycast.fm/Seattle. Again, that's membership.citycast.fm/Seattle. Now to the episode. So I want to know, Brett Hamil, writer, performer, and the cartoonist behind the weekly series Doom Loop, what is your all-time favorite music festival?
Well, besides the original Lollapalooza, which is certainly dating myself.
Wait, what was the original? What year was that?
So, I went to the second year.
Okay.
So it was just an incredible lineup. I went a few years after that. That was back when you could mount a nationwide traveling music festival with incredible artists. So that's got to be number one. Number two has got to be Bumbershoot in the early 2000s when tickets were $20 a day, and you could see Lou Reed, REM, just some of the huge top names, and it was a lot of fun.
Okay, so wait, that was 1991 too for you, Brett?
Lollapalooza would go back to about 92, 93. Now, I also want to say that the reason why these are the best music festivals for me was because I was also young enough to have the energy and stamina to enjoy them fully.
Devon Leger, music journalist. What do you think? What was your all-time favorite music festival?
I was not going to say Bumbershoot until Brett said it. Then I was like, oh, man. I think the best celebrity sighting in my whole life was AJ Naidu, who was one of the guys in Office Space. And he was performing at Bumbershoot. And I was like, oh, wow. That's like my favorite movie. I was so into it. And then recently at Pickathon, I just got super into hardcore. I didn't listen to it. I didn't know much about it, but I was like, I think I just wandered over to one of the shows and I was like, oh my God. They were, crowd surfing, and there was this crazy mosh pit. And I think it was maybe like Viagra Boys or the OCs. Oh, the OCs had 2 drum kits, 2 drummers.
Don't they always? I feel like that's kind of their thing.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah, I don't know a ton about them, but I did meet the guy. That was another good celebrity sighting, as I got to meet the I don't know anything about them, but I was just really into it.
Gotcha. I know a lot about them because one of my friends is an enormous fan.
Okay.
And the fact that they've changed the spelling of their name like 8,000
They
times.
have. It's so confusing.
Why? And see, what he's saying here is exactly why festivals are great, or what can be great about them, is you're exposed to new stuff that you just wander into.
Yeah.
For example, I think it was the second Lollapalooza I went to, maybe the third one total. Nick Cave was and the Bad Seeds were playing at like noon or 1. He had not really broken America, so I was watching this absolute maniac, declaiming to the crowd, like screaming, etc., with this incredible backup band, and people were just milling around, and I was like, this guy's incredible, and I was drawn closer and closer to the stage, and just he blew my mind. I had never heard his music before in my life, and eventually became a big fan.
Yeah, you're right.
So
I mean, that's it. That's really it about festivals. It's like, it's not who you went to the festival to see, even though that can be cool. It's like that moment where you're like, what is this? This is the most insane. I used to work for the Northwest Folklife Festival in Seattle. I was the booker for that festival, and we had like everything. I mean, we had every imaginable type of roots music we had pirate shows, unbelievable Cambodian Hmong players. It was just the most incredible stuff, and people would wander in.
I feel like what we're really coming into here is that it feels like the heyday of festivals is behind us, and I want to know, Devon, I know you've worked on a bunch of festivals. Like, what is the current state of local festivals? Like, which ones are still around? Brett, have you been to any recently?
I will be performing at Folklife this year, actually.
Oh,
and
nice.
I performed at Bumbershoot numerous times.
Yeah, awesome. Love folk life. I mean, folk life is.
But I want to hear what Devon has to say about this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that the era of festivals is over, but the festival bubble has burst. It's very clear that the festival bubble has burst. I mean, what happened was that, like, pre-pandemic, people saw festivals as these kind of like, as a way to make money, as kind of a big money maker in the music industry, to the point that, like, artists were starting festivals. There's a lot of artist-run festivals. I mean, Tyler, the Creator, has his own festival. I mean, tons of artists did that, and it was kind of a good way to make money. But what happened was they kind of oversaturated the market. And then post-pandemic, there's all these factors that have contributed. And starting, I think, in 2024 was the beginning of the festival bubble bursting. And what I'm seeing now, I've been talking a lot to friends who run festivals in the Northwest, and what's really interesting is that the larger festivals are collapsing. And then the smaller festivals are struggling, but still surviving. One of the big ones collapsing, was a Farewell Festival in Oregon. That was that was a Live Nation festival. And that was an interesting festival. They dropped a huge Live Nation festival right in the middle of a territory that on one hand had Sisters Folk Festival and I forget the other, they had another Big Pondaroo or something that was right there in Bend, and they had Pickathon in Portland. So that was part of what we were seeing at times, were like large, very well-financed festivals, often tied to mega corporations, being dropped right next to small independent festivals to kind of like pull some of that away. And Farewell Fest, I mean, they had thousands and thousands of tickets. It was a major country and roots festival that is not coming back. Thing right here in this area, Thing not coming back is really huge news. I mean, that is a really well-funded, well-built festival.
Yeah, what's going on with that? Like, why?
The answer is that a festival is what I say, it's a fragile dream, right? The people who are dreaming this festival, that dream can be broken at any time very quickly. And when that dream is broken, the festival ends. So there's not much sustaining it. The festivals that are still going, the people who run them are like going against all odds and battling like tooth and nail to keep it going. And they are only doing that because they're foolish dreamers. That's the reason, Anyone who approached a festival to make money, it's not going to happen anymore. And I'm happy to get into the reasons, but why there are some really specific reasons. But really, that's what I tell people is like, we need to preserve these dreams,
Yeah. I do want to hear the specific reasons because, I mean, it feels like for many years, festivals were where it was at. I want to say like maybe the height of the festival bubble, and maybe this is my bias, was like late aughts, early 2010s. It feels like there were just so many popping up each year, and it felt like that's where a lot of people were going as part of their summer plans. Like I remember planning my summers around like Bonnaroo, and feels like now that's not so much the case anymore. So I'm curious, like, what has changed materially that has led to festivals struggling?
Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, obviously it's a perfect storm. One of the major things is rising production costs. All the costs post-pandemic have gone up. I talked with Kevin Sir at Timber, the Timber Music Festival. That's out of Carnation, but his team is based in Seattle. He says that production costs went up 30% in the last 2 years.
Dang.
That's everything. That's labor to fencing to porta potties. I mean, the cost of porta potties goes up. That's the staging, the sound engineers. We're seeing also fewer staging and sound companies, so it's like the prices are really going up. I heard liquor licenses are going to go up by 50% this year. I heard digital advertising is taxed now. I had no clue about that. So if you're taking out like meta ads, that's taxed now. So everything's kind of just gone up in terms of pricing. And then the really hard one is that the cost of living is too high. And that has two repercussions. One is that people don't have as much disposable income to spend on a festival. I mean, festivals can be really expensive. I mean, festivals are really fighting to try and keep their prices down because they know people don't have a lot of money. But then the really hard part is that artists are leaving. We've seen a huge exodus of artists out of Seattle. I was talking with a friend who works with WANBA, which is the Washington Nightlife and Music Association. And she was saying that they did a poll 2025 of like artists and people at venues. She was saying that 40% of artists are thinking of leaving the area. And 35% of festival producers are planning to scale back. So you can kind of see those forces. And the artist leaving is so huge. It absolutely impoverishes our cultural ecosystem. It means that festivals can't, bring up people in the community to be part of the festival, to perform. And it makes it so that we start to lose the culture that makes Seattle so great.
One thing to consider, and I just had to Google this to confirm, I found an article that said 60% of tickets to Coachella were financed by Klarna or some other.
Oh,
people can't even afford to buy the tickets in one lump
How much
payment.
are they these days to go to Coachella?
A ridiculous amount, I'm sure, but they're having to, people that are your audience that is going to show up can't even afford to go and really shouldn't be buying these tickets.
I really feel like back in my day, but like truly back in my day, I remember paying like $100 for a festival ticket, going all 3 days, being there every second
Bumper
from
shoot.
the
Absolutely.
moment
Bumper
the
shoot.
first, the moment the
$20
first
a day,
act hit.
$25 a day, and you could get a special deal if you got them all, if you pre-bought, and I just living on a worker's wages, I was easily able to afford it.
Yeah, but I mean, if based on these stats that Devon just brought up, like just strictly going on the 30% increase in all of the costs, right? Like that immediately takes my $100 ticket to $130. So it makes sense that we're
Devon
all
has
it.
given me sympathy for the festival producers, because coming into this conversation, I was like, they're a bunch of money grubbing tools. And like that's
Ticketmaster.
That's a very well. I was also like, I'm bleeding into like my feelings about Ticketmaster, and I'm realizing, yes, it is a labor of love. So thank you, Devon.
Yeah, we've weeded out the money grabbing tools because they didn't have enough money. Another example of this, I was talking again with Kevin at Timber. So he said, in the slightly earlier days of Timber, they would get they do a thing where they open up for submissions, but not many festivals do that. It's kind of cool. Anybody can submit to them, and they actually listen to everybody, no matter what. They listen to every single one, which I think is cool. I've done that work, and it can be kind of brutal.
Yeah, I'm sure there are some really great folks that are like diamonds in the rough, and then some folks who are not as great.
So they used to get 2,000 to 3,000 submissions every year that they would listen to. This year, he was saying they got 600. So that tells you the amount of artists that have left our city, And he came out of the Bay Area, and he was talking about, this cultural music scene that we have. This is not a guarantee. This is not a guarantee that we have this.
Yeah. I mean, last question for you all here. What makes a good music festival? I have noticed that like a lot of local festivals feature at least headliners that are definitely out of towners. Like, is having the mix of local bands in it part of it? What setup makes a festival good and friendly to attendees?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have the local bands. It brings people out from the community. It supports the community. It shows you this is our culture around here. And then another really key point that's really unfortunate is that we are seeing an incredible loss of international artists coming to America. The visa issues are unbelievable right now. They're paying I've heard of artists paying over $10,000 for a visa and then having it fall apart at the last minute and have to cancel everything. So the visa issues make it, and also just political issues. Many artists, Canadian artists, won't cross the border, nor should they really. And then we're seeing festivals also canceled over ice concerns. That happened in Seattle, the Pacific Northwest Folklorico Fest, the Duwamish River Festival. Supposedly one of the Thing festivals, their Latina Programming Day, was canceled. So, I mean, we're really seeing, what we're going to end up seeing is just these kind of big artists. They're going to route them, basically these big booking companies, route them artists through festival circuits. So they're kind of going in this big circuit. So what you would see at a festival in Seattle is what you would see at a festival in Austin. So it's just going to homogenize it. I mean, and to answer your question, a good music festival has diversity. It has all these different ideas in music. It has things to do. It's set in a beautiful place, not just in a giant football field where you're staring at a jumbotron way far away, And it has community. That's the only way that festivals will survive moving forward, is by focusing on community, I think.
I love that answer. Well, let's take a break, and when we come back, we're going to have a low-stakes Seattle Rants portion.
Okay.
So it's been a heavy, not just couple of weeks, I don't know, 10 years, but especially the last 2 weeks, I feel like, have been very heavy news-wise. And here on the show, we've been covering a lot of big but important stories. So I wanted to do a segment that feels a little lower stakes. It's Friday. This was inspired by a delightful rant that I saw on Reddit that The Reddit post was called, here, sorry, I gotta pull it up. Count your fucking days, Fred Meyer. Actually, I think they incorrectly referred to Fred Meyer as Fred Myers, which I thought was also delightful.
There's one to start off right there.
Wait,
Seattle rant.
It's not Fred Myers? I thought it was Fred Myers.
I think it's Fred. Well, it's Fred Meyer, but you can say like I'm going to Fred Myers, as in like it's Fred
Fred's
Meyer.
spot. It's his spot.
Store.
I mean,
It's his spot.
It's not
Freddy's
Myers.
store.
It's Fred Myers.
Yes. But anyway, this person on Reddit was angry that Fred Meyer no longer has handles on its grocery bags, which feels, I was like, that's legitimate. I would be angry about that. Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, carry it by the bottom and walk out of the store? You're really limited in the number of bags you can hold. So I wanted to know from each of you, what are your low stakes Seattle rants?
All of mine are transportation or conveyance related.
Okay.
For example,
Let's go.
number one, I mean, this has got to be if this was a Family Feud style event, this would be in the top 5. If you're not going to walk on the escalator, stay to the right.
Yes.
It's
thank
that
you.
simple. And for people that use the light rail, and I've seen like think pieces. I think Charles Mudede at The Stranger wrote a blog post about this, but think pieces that broke down and analyzed like how much quicker traffic would move and how quickly you could get if people that aren't walking stay on the right and people that are walking move to the left. And it's also just such a simple, look around you, dummy. It's like, look at what everyone else is doing and do that, and you'll probably be all right. And that's a good general rule of thumb.
Life
So
advice.
Yes. Devin.
Oh,
you have any
yeah.
low stakes Seattle rants?
Well, I was thinking about that. I asked my wife, I said, I asked her what her rant would be, and she said Ballard drivers. And I thought about that. I don't know. I'm not sure why that. Then I thought about, I'm actually on the opposite side. I think non-Ballard drivers are what drive me nuts.
Oh,
There's
fascinating. Wait,
like-
what defines a Ballard driver?
Okay, I mean, she had to go into a meeting, so I'm not 100% sure what a Ballard driver is. But I believe what she's saying is like that really slow, like, takes a long time to go at a light, like really kind of gets in the way, doesn't go fast, just stays in one lane, But I love that. That's my favorite part of Seattle are those Ballard drivers. And I hate all these new drivers who drive so aggressively. I have literally sat at a green light with a car in front of me didn't go. I've sat through the entire light without honking because I was like, who am I? I'm not that busy today. I could take a little. I don't want to
I respect you so
I
much.
don't want
That's
to ruin
so
this
zen
guy's
of you,
day
Devin.
just because I'm like in a rush, That is like Seattle to me. Go 55, go 50 on the freeway. That's wonderful. I love it. So I'm very much in the opposite camp of that.
I do think that all of the conflict in driving in Seattle comes from that, like Ballard driver, as you described, and the new drivers, because
Yeah.
the lack of predictability is what makes it tough to get around. Like, you just don't know what you're going to encounter, and then you've got these two styles like clashing. I try and be somewhere in the middle, but I don't know. I feel like sometimes I'm the Ballard driver and sometimes I'm impatient and I need to go fast.
I have another thing that I think we could start the change that I want to see today,
Okay.
which is that when you're going to a roundabout
Oh, God.
and you look and see another car there, you ask yourself, are they to the right of me? Then they go. That's why they call it a right of way. And it's so simple to remember. The mnemonic is built into it. If they're to your right, they go. If you're to their right, you go. It's that simple. That's all you need to know. There's no other like complex geometry, equation you need. That's it. If they're to your right, they go. And if everyone could do that, sorry. I see this is
No,
Okay, so my mother-in-law and sister-in-law both struggle mightily with left versus right. So what if you are not good at knowing left versus right? Maybe that's the struggle for people.
then should they be driving, I guess would be the question.
They don't drive here. Neither of them live here. So, and hopefully they'll
Good.
never hear this.
they'd fit right
Love
in
you
here.
both.
I live up in North Seattle, and they're putting in roundabouts on 145th up in North Seattle. And it's like, I mean, no one knows. Like, it's absolutely the
Oh, yeah.
Wild West. It's complete. Yeah, they almost need like a person there to like knock on your window and explain the rules and then let you go through. Like, it's that bad.
I have another transportation related one, which is I don't think we should have parking on arterial streets. I think I'm that's probably an unpopular opinion. And I know a lot of businesses rely on it, and I feel like many a bike lane fight has been had over this. But I have gotten into, well, I will say that the first year that I lived in Seattle, I got into a car accident because I was trying to pull onto an arterial, but I couldn't see shit around the cars. And it just so happened to be around a curve. So I had like zero visibility. And I just wish that we didn't have that.
There should also be higher parking and other transportation related fees for those giant chud trucks. So if you have one of those massive...
Oh, you mean like a gender affirming truck?
Yeah, the gender affirming trucks that can like run over like 8 kindergartners before they even notice something happened. Like,
and me. I've stood in front of those and I'm shorter than the grill of the truck a lot of the time.
I saw the theory floated that that's why Greg Bovino was removed from Minnesota, because he actually would be run over by one of those trucks as well. But
he's a liability.
He is a liability. But if we just start charging them more for parking, charging them more for city licensing, and also, in my opinion, reduce the width of streets by an inch every year to where it's no longer feasible to drive one of those, I think this could be the utopia, the traffic utopia we all dream of.
Wow.
I think I would feel like I was going insane if the streets were getting an inch more narrow each
and
year.
You'd be more cautious, right? You'd be on alert every time. So
it's true.
Maybe it could work.
So I have a music rant. You want to into a music rant?
Yeah.
So I've talking to artists that come to Seattle. There is a rant about Seattle from touring artists, and it's very clear. And it's that Seattle won't dance at shows. And it's true. Like, I've seen shows fall apart because the artist is just so bummed that everyone is just standing there. Now, I, as a music professional, have a right to stand in the back with my arms crossed. That's like, if I don't do that, I get fired from my job. So I'm cool. It's the rest of everybody who needs to be out there dancing at shows, because bands are really, there's like a whole thing going around about how Seattle's got the worst crowds because they won't dance.
I've heard that too. And I mean, I saw it this summer. I was at a show and there was a bless them, like, just quintessential millennial woman. Like, I just game see game, like, I recognized her from her outfit and just the way that she was dancing. And she was very enthusiastically dancing. And I was like, get it, girl. I love it. And then there were some young kids who started videoing her and like putting it on their Snapchat to like make fun of her.
That's
and I was
why.
like, no, I think like, let them, like,
it's only going to get worse. These young kids, Gen Z, etc., they drink less, they have sex less.
See, that's fine.
So all of the driving things that would make them, motivated to dance, plus the fear of constant surveillance. Like, there's a lot of theories out there that
that's real. Yeah.
Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they don't do things fun and crazy because they don't
cringe,
want someone
you guys.
to. Yeah, they're
Join
afraid of
me
being
in being
cringe.
and dancing at a show and having fun.
You know what's crazy? I didn't really mention this, but actually the fact that the next generation isn't drinking as much is a huge factor in the collapse of festivals and venues too. I mean, it's unbelievable how many festivals run almost entirely on liquor sales. And for venues, almost all of their money is not coming from tickets, because most of that goes to the artists. It's from liquor sales at the bar. And this is like not a small thing. It's actually, everyone I talked to was like, people aren't drinking, which is crazy to say. Like, I mean, it's great that they're not drinking that much. This is an addiction. Like, people's lives are ruined with alcohol.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay not to drink if you don't want to, but it's crazy how much it affects festivals. It's very strange.
Fascinating. All right, let's take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about what we're doing this weekend. And we can maybe buy a little drink if we want at whatever we're doing.
Some kombucha.
Yes. All right, it's Friday, and we always like to end our episodes with a little bit of joy and some recommendations for our listeners for what to do over the weekend. So first, I want to ask, what brought you joy this week? What do you want to shout out? Whether that's a restaurant, I have a show to shout out. What brought you joy, Devon?
Oh, I mean, I've just been doing a lot of work on social media. And it's been, I was a music journalist for years and years, and I just got frustrated. You'd write an article in a print magazine and not many people read it. And it's like, okay, well, I put a lot of time into it, but oh well. But now it's kind of fun. I've been trying to figure out TikTok music journalism and Instagram music journalism. And maybe it's like my fifth midlife crisis or something. I don't know, but at this point, I've lost count. But it's actually I've been really enjoying that. I get to interview artists and put up interesting videos about their shows. So I've been having a ton of fun with that. And, I think like in this time with everything that's going on, like the impetus is to constantly react, and it's unbelievably draining to your mind and your soul. So I really want to build. I just want to build something that's bigger than me. That makes me feel amazing right now.
I love that. I've seen you on there, Devon.
Yay!
I've been enjoying those videos.
All right,
Brett. What about you? What has brought you joy?
One thing I like to do with my son is explain to him when Seattle is a standout in some area or something that Seattle is really good with, because he's 9 years old and he doesn't know this stuff yet. And I want him to feel a pride for the place that he lives. So this week, Seattle teriyaki. This is one of the cities in North America that sort of created the dish and formed its flavors and principles. So we went and got dinner. We got teriyaki at Rainier Teriyaki, which is my local one. They did a great job of it. It's the perfect mix. It's exactly what I want. Not too much ginger, just the right sweetness, etc. And I always try to impress upon him. This is a Seattle dish, buddy. This was developed
This is our shared
here.
culture.
This is our shared culture.
Yeah, the guy that created that dish is still going. Toshi, I forget exactly where his place is.
Toshi, yes.
He's still cranking out teriyaki, and he's the one that's credited as really creating it. That's crazy to think. Like, it's crazy to think that like food like that, we just think it's always been around, but like, somebody made it.
And it's so good, and it hits the spot so much. And if you have like a growing 9-year-old boy, there's so much protein, and there's just enough to get him as full as he can possibly get. So
teriyaki chicken bowl is where it's at for sure. Speaking of Asian immigrants, I went to go see a play at the Seattle Rep over the weekend with my parents. It's called The Heart Sellers. Shout out to my dad for getting us tickets. Immigrant story about two women, one who immigrated from the Philippines and the other from Korea. And they're bonding on Thanksgiving night over trying to make a turkey and just really talking honestly about what it's like to be immigrants to this country, what they gave up back home. Really moving. Also, shout out to the nice women in the bathroom afterwards who talked to me while I was still sobbing from the end of that play. Really, really moving, really wonderful.
Wow.
Okay, so yeah, and I'd never been to the Rep. It's a beautiful building, and it made me really want to go see more shows. The caliber of the production was just so amazing. And
they're great.
Yeah, big shout out to the Rep. All right, speaking of events, what are you all doing this weekend, or what do you recommend people go check out? Devon, I know you have some shows for us.
Yeah, I got some. I have a lot of shows. I mean, I haven't been going to shows in a long time. I was kind of doing a lot of other work. So doing this project has kind of got me back going to shows and focusing on Seattle. It's been really fun. Saturday, February 7th, I'll be at Khu.éex at the Nectar Lounge. I'm a huge fan of this band. It's a Native American-led, super spaced out funk jam band.
Oh, hell yeah.
And it's formed by really interesting people. It was formed with Bernie Worrell, who was the keyboard player, as I recall, for Parliament Funkadelic. So, I mean, he's not alive. He's not alive anymore, but they formed it with him to kind of build the DNA of it. Mm-hmm. And then the bassist, Preston Singletary, I think he's Tlingit from Alaska. I think he's maybe the most amazing visual artist I've ever seen. He takes that Northwest Coast native form line art and works it with blown glass. Just incredible art. And they have a vocalist who I really like too. She's Haida, but she speaks the Alaska Haida dialect, which is interesting. Sondra Segundo. And she sings in Haida. She grew up singing traditional songs, and she speaks, and she heard it spoken fluently. So these songs are in Tlingit and in Haida, and it's really cool. Northwest Coast native art is some of the most theatrical art I've ever seen. Like, if you go to like any of the museums around here, you can see these incredible masks. They had huge buildings that were like, there's a lot of theater behind these traditions. So they're kind of bringing some of that to the stage. I think it's really fascinating.
Very cool.
And then Sunday I'm going to be at a show by a band called Brivele. It's basically they're making anti-fascist Yiddish folk music, which I think is really cool.
Okay. So
there's a whole history of anti-fascist songs in Yiddish that are tied to the labor movement as well. And it came about from like Franco Spain, or it came about pre-World War II. So they've been resurrecting these old Yiddish songs and singing them and kind of making parallels, very obviously, to where we are right now. And that's a benefit for an organization working with families in Gaza. So that's going to be at the Royal Room on Sunday.
Cool.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. I got more if you want, but Brett, you can go.
Well, Brett, what do you got?
I'm hoping for some sun this weekend. I'm going to do a little skateboarding, maybe walk around Seward Park, listen to some new music. To your point, Devin, like one of the exciting things for me is I finally cut the cord on Spotify, which I had been nagging myself to do for like a couple years, like way too long. And when you do it, you're like, why did I wait so long? So I use Qobuzz now. It's got a whole different recommendation engine. It's turning me on to this stuff that I either forgot about from 10 or 20 years ago or never heard about. So there's like this sense of excitement about new music happening in my life right now.
Brett, that's crazy. How are you going to keep up with the new wave of AI music from Spotify?
Right?
What a loss to your life.
Well, speaking of music, one thing I'm really excited about is I'm going to be checking out the new Charlie XCX film, The Moment, at SIFF. I've heard nothing but good things about it and am prepared to have my mind blown. All right, let's end with one more rec from you, Devin, about shows that are happening the next week.
Sure, yeah. I'm really excited about a show on Thursday. I'll be at Adaball, which is this cool like pinball venue in Fremont.
I love Adaball.
I haven't been yet, so I'm really excited. Terror Cactus, super awesome Seattle electro cumbia band that's really blowing up. But I'm really into this artist, Femme Dudi. I just interviewed them for my social media. Really interesting interview. They are electro soul and fever dream R&B out of Seattle. They're in the band Day Soul Exquisite, but I like the solo work they're doing a lot. She comes out of Nashville, but she's been in Seattle for a while. Really honest reflections on queer Black identity, and she has Congolese heritage, so she has a lot to say about what's going on in the Congo right now. I talked to her about the Free Congo hashtag that a lot of people are using, and they had a really interesting thing to say that Congo is absolutely occupied, it's economically occupied, and all the wealth of the country that's being generated on people's lives is going to other countries. So really interesting artist in Seattle that I really hope people will support.
Very cool. Yeah, I haven't been to Adaball's venue. Like, there have been shows while I've been there just at the arcade part of Adaball before. So that's a great opportunity to go check out a local artist.
Can I play pinball and watch the show? That I was banking on that.
I think you have to pick one, unfortunately. What? But you could probably go straight from the show to play pinball.
Look, if I get my wrist stamped, I can go play pinball too.
Totally. Well, Devin, thank you so much for bringing us these great recs and for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me. This was really fun. Nice to meet everyone.
Yeah. Brett, thank you for, as always, being here.
Pleasure as always.
All right. That's all for today here at CityCast Seattle. I'm your host, Jane C. Hu. Our executive producer is Ashley Smith. Our creative producers are Sam J. Leeds and Liam Billingham. Post-production this week was done by PJ Shahamat. Our audience development manager is Ben Keenan. Music is by Aaron Taylor Waldman, All the Kimonos, and Los Mocachetes, with additional mixing by Tyler Lindgren. Our ad music is by Sven Lindvall and Sarah, the instrumentalist from Epidemic Sounds via Getty Images. Listeners, thank you for joining us this week. And remember that we always love hearing from you all, too. So if you have news tips or questions, if you have just gossip, I'm always down for gossip, or if you have other shows or artists that we should check out, send us an email at seattle@citycast.fm. You can also text us or leave us a voicemail on the CityCast hotline at 206-880-3931. And if you're enjoying the podcast, follow us on Apple, I guess Spotify, even though we were maybe dunking on it a little bit just now, or wherever you listen, so you never miss an episode. You can also leave us a little review and just tell your friends about us. You can get more local news and events delivered to your inbox by subscribing to our newsletter. Just go to seattle.citycast.fm. You can also find us on TikTok, Instagram, and Blue Sky at CityCast Seattle, and you can watch full episodes of the show on YouTube. Until next week, see you, Seattle.